For years now, Kawasaki fans have been begging, even teaming together, to try to rally Kawasaki to come out with a competitive sport side-by-side. This year, with the release of the KRX 1000, Kawasaki did just that. They came out with a pure sport side-by-side to topple competition. Enter the KRX 1000. The purpose of this video is not to regurgitate specifications onto you. We can see that all over the internet right now. There is so much hype about this machine. Chances are you probably already know. The purpose of this video is to point out some of the things that I really love about this machine in the real life scenarios that we ride in. Aside from the impressive numbers that the new KRX shows in the suspension travel, geometry, gobs of torque at 76 foot-pounds, there are many other things, to me, that are more important as a rider that I'd like to go through today with you guys. One being the importance of the new sight glass for oil level checking. If you've ever been on a week-long trip or a 2-week trip to the mountains, this will definitely be something that you will like on this machine. I've been in the scenarios where you have mud caked all over everything and you're trying on the trail or at your campsite to go ahead and check your oil. As you know, it can get a little tough with all the mud that packs around the dipstick tube. The Kawasaki KRX comes with a fully transparent sight glass. That is about the size of a toonie. When you're out on the trail or you're at your campsite, wipe it off and you can check your oil. Very neat. Another inclusion that Kawasaki has nailed with laser-like precision is the inclusion of the air intake systems that are fully symmetrical with the body lines and don't get in the way at all. So many times in this industry, people buy a new machine and the first thing that they have to do is snorkeling. It doesn't always have to be for water. It can be for things like mud. It can be for things like snow. But being that Kawasaki has wrapped the grate of these air intakes for the CVT and the engine in water repellent frog skin really makes me give that a big thumbs up. Upon further inspection of the Kawasaki KRX 1000, I've found so many things in the body and chassis that I am absolutely in love with. Kawasaki has absolutely kept with the idea of its legendary performance, its legendary tank-like toughness and reliability. When you look at the chassis and A-arms and axles on a KRX 1000 and compare them to the competition, it's pretty plain to see that Kawasaki engineers wanted the new KRX Teryx 1000 to retain the absolute dominating reliability of the Gen 3 Teryx. Arched A-arms, dual welded frame positions, the rigidity of this machine is amazing. As everybody knows, the arched A-arms contribute to ground clearance, which on the Kawasaki Teryx KRX 1000 from factory is 14.4 inches. Wow. Recently, I had the opportunity to ride the Kawasaki KRX 1000 at the dealer conferences in Osoyoos, British Columbia. I can tell you that this machine is very nimble and it handled everything we threw at it with ease. It was almost like it didn't even know we were riding. Some appointments that I'd like to bring light to are things that in the past with pure sport side-by-sides as a 6'2" person have aggravated me just a little. Not a lot, just a little. In the KRX 1000, you'll notice that the bolster of the frame comes down beside you, not in front of you. So, keeping with the tradition of the Gen 3 Teryx, you can step in and step out without having to put your knee into your chin. The interior is very well appointed. Everything is tight. We didn't have one squeaker, rattle, or problem in the mountains with it. We have a sweet set of dual LED headlights. The instrument cluster is very well appointed with 24 different bits of information that the customer can access at any time while driving, as well as, of course, tilt steering. What I found on the trail I liked the best of the whole interior was this compartment right here. Everybody's got a cell phone these days, everybody carries it with them on the trail, and they want it easy accessible. This compartment kept water and dust off of our phones so that when we stopped, we could snap a quick pic without having to reach down into our pockets or separate baggage. Kawasaki also comes fully accessory ready. I was able to see the Kawasaki fully loaded with all of the factory accessories when we were in a Soyuz BC. The doors come pre-appointed with the knockouts for the speakers, subwoofers go in the rear, radio goes into the dash. All of the accessories that are available from Kawasaki, which there is a plethora of, were ready to order before the release of the Kawasaki KRX 1000. In true Kawasaki fashion, I think that's awesome, because the last thing you want to do is buy a new machine and not be able to get any toys for it. There are many things that I've read so far on the Kawasaki KRX 1000 online that leave a little bit of debate. I'm going to give you my honest opinion of a few of those. I love the inclusion of the passenger mount adjustable handlebar. I love the inclusion of 12-volt outlets. One more inclusion that Kawasaki has, other than the standard two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive diff lock I found in the mountains of Soyuz, was this low power switch. What I can tell you about this, I think there's been some confusion on the market as to what the purpose of it actually is. It does limit you, but all that means is when you're on a really wicked steep hill and you don't want to be jerky and spin, you flick this switch on and you've got a buttery smooth reaction from your machine, and it really does not affect your power to climb the hill. Another thing that I'd like to talk about a little bit is the inclusion of the Ebrake without the parking gear. Now, many people on the market have different opinions of this. Your Ebrake cable can break, your park can get stuck if you park on a hill. For me, in my opinion, being that I've been in the mountains with both many times, I would take this setup over anything else every day of the week. It just seems to be the most reliable system on the market to save your transmission, your shift cables, everything like that. And personally, I've never seen an Ebrake cable break. Not to say it hasn't happened. All the naysayers may get on our channel and talk about that, but I personally have never seen it, and I love the inclusion of Ebrake over park. The seats in the Kawasaki KRX 1000 are amazing. They're perfectly bolstered, they're cushy, and they make you feel welcome when you get in. Not to mention the fact that they slide forward and back. Many machines don't have as much adjustability that way as the KRX does. And I can tell you, being a tall person and having a short wife, that becomes very important. Another thing that I thought was really neat about the Kawasaki KRX 1000 is they've kind of kept with the fashion of the third gen. We don't have the storage bins behind the seats like we did, but we definitely have at least 6 inches of room behind the seat when it's full extent in the rear for things like knapsacks, lunches, stuff like that. Good work, Kawasaki. The inclusion of sweet 15-inch fully bead-locked wheels and 31-inch carnivore 8-ply tires from the factory, I think shocked a lot of people on the market. And I believe that a lot of the manufacturers make the mistake of not putting proper tire and rim package on a machine such as this, which in turn makes them suffer. This, to me, is almost a perfect setup for any riding condition that you may be in. I personally have this setup and love it. Another inclusion that I'd like to point out is the hood forward wheel design. Basically, in a real world scenario, what that means is if you're catching a jump and you land on the front end, you're not scraping your grill into the dirt. Also, when you hit a steep hill, your wheels are before the body panels. That will prevent, if not eliminate, the chance of front end body damage due to steep inclines and rocks. Another thing that I'd like to talk about, I know there's been naysayers with the weight of the Kawasaki Teryx. I want to point out a few things, and I just want to point this out because I've actually seen this in real life. They've kept with their steel inner fenders. This, to me, is a great innovation. It was on the 3rd gen Teryx as well. This, to me, can really save lives. If you've ever watched or looked up on YouTube or the internet anywhere, you can usually come across some kind of a video or a post of the horror stories with things like logs penetrating through plastic fender wells, causing injury and even impaling people. To me, this keeps you and your passengers safe. I think it's a great inclusion, as well as the steel skid plate. So will I sacrifice a couple £100 for that? Every day of the week. So folks, in conclusion, I just wanted to wrap up this machine in my real life experience in the mountains with it. This machine is both incredibly nimble, incredibly quick, and it also is super comfortable. When I get into this machine, I feel like I'm sitting on my couch at home. It's so welcoming and so tight and not rattly that I think anybody in the pure sport side-by-side market should really take a good hard look at this machine. Although the horsepower numbers on this machine are not class leading, it is above some of its competitors. The more important thing is how this machine gets the power to the ground. It does that very, very well. Kawasaki has nailed the CVT clutching on this machine precisely to absolutely suit it. Although the weight of this machine is more than some on the market, it feels every bit as nimble and fun as anything out there. I think if you're in the pure sport side-by-side market or looking for a trail machine, you should definitely take a drive in the KRX 1000. You won't be disappointed, and you have my word on that. Thanks for joining us today, folks. This has been brought to you by CMX TV. And of course, as always, I'm Ken. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.